There's a saying that bad news will tank Alibaba stock and good news will also tank Alibaba stock, or at least that's how it's been for the last couple of years. And so I think a lot of us were surprised when the leaving of their CEO didn't actually result with the share price declining materially. And so I want to get an understanding of exactly what happened with the markets yesterday with Alibaba Security. Where is the company going, and sort of like what does the future hold for us as Alibaba shareholders amongst this whole spin-off situation in this new environment with a new leadership team? And so as you guys smash that like button, let me run that intro. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And so you guys are well aware that Alibaba shares did not decline materially at all. I think they were down about 1.5%. I'll throw it up on the screen. And so that was very interesting. I wasn't really expecting that. I thought that they would decline further. And so, on Sunday when the news broke and the shares didn't really move anywhere, I was thinking maybe it was just because there was a bit of a muted response. People were waiting for further disclosures and, they never really came. And so the market just reacted the way that it did. But I think part of the reason for the muted response is because I think many investors believe that the company is in good hands. I mean, you got Eddie Wu and Joseph Tsai. If you guys remember, Joe Tsai is the guy who owns the Brooklyn Nets, and both of these guys have been with Jack Ma since the beginning. And so, people close or people that really understand Jack Ma and they're very close to him are the people that have taken over leadership. And I think that's why the market is very much okay with this. And there's something that you guys may not necessarily have seen just yet. I get up at around 4 a.m. every morning to read the news, and this just came out a couple of hours ago, and it was Alibaba's new CEO that actually laid out his strategic priorities for the staff with a letter as reported by Reuters. And so he said that the two main strategic focuses going forward with the company will be user first and AI driven. And I don't know why that's any different than what the company was doing previously, but it is what it is. And so I guess it's just going to be more of a focus. And here's an interesting thing. Alibaba will focus on promoting those born after 1985 and after 1990 to form the core of its business management teams within the next 4 years. And that group would continue to deepen its reorganization efforts and strengthen independent decision making. And so he's really looking for a startup type mindset, which is interesting because ultimately, when these companies get really large, you obviously are going to attract people who are less risk taking, people who want more job security, etc. And so I think they're trying to sort of like wind back that culture a little bit and go back into more of a startup type culture. But I think ultimately, the Wall Street Journal really captured how a lot of investors are feeling right now. There is overall just a lot of fatigue, and concrete plans should be announced for this spinoff, because I think the stock continues to struggle without concrete signs of progress. But, we have to keep in mind that management is dealing with quite a bit of uncertainty in the current environment. And I think we as investors are as well. And so you kind of have to give them a little bit of time to sort of figure this thing out. But, as Alibaba shareholders, we're, very accustomed to waiting. And so we'll see how this plays out. And it's really been a while. And so if you guys don't remember, just recall that Alibaba's board actually approved the following restructuring plan. So the cloud business is expected to be a full stock spinoff via stock dividend. And so I think this one still gets done. It's been a few months since this has been announced. So I think this one is easy to do. It will get done. Raising external capital for the international business. The international business is doing fantastic. So I think they'll be able to do this as well. I think there's a lot of excitement in the growth of the Southeast Asian market. With the Xiniao Smart Logistics, I think this is where you run into a little bit of a risk with, Chinese equities as low as they currently are. I think you're going to have trouble listing Xiniao. I think you're also going to have trouble listing Fresh Hippo as well. You may not necessarily get the valuation that you want for these listings. And so we'll see how these play out. But if I were a betting man, because you guys keep asking me, like, what do I think about the spinoff? I would say that this happens and this happens. So the cloud obviously happens. I think that's the highest likelihood to happen. The external raising of capital for the international business, I think there's a strong likelihood that it'll happen. And then the IPOs of Xiniao and Fresh Hippo, I think those are less likely to happen until there's a material recovery in the securities markets for Chinese equities. But I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. And of course, those are just words on a paper. I just want to remind you guys as to where these businesses businesses sit. So in China Commerce, I know it's not China Commerce anymore. They've restructured this, but previously the way that the ecosystem worked is that Fresh Hippo used to sit in China Commerce. It's now no longer in this business segment, but that's where it used to be. And it is one of the businesses that I was most excited about when I started learning about Alibaba. And so I think this is the business that the market would be most excited about. And it's the one that you would want to IPO if you were going to IPO any of the businesses. As Taobao Deals and Taocaicai grow, I think those are two businesses that also could potentially be IPO'd as well. Of course, SunArt as well, right? That's a large business on its own. It could probably be IPO'd today if they really wanted to. And then, of course, you could IPO Taobao and Tmall separately as well, but I would want to keep those together. The international business that they spoke about, that's this right here. And then Cineao, this is the logistics arm right there. And then, of course, there's Cloud. But you can see there's a lot of businesses here that they could IPO separately. Just in international, you can, IPO Lazada, Trendyol, and Duraz separately, also the wholesale business. So there's a lot that they can do here, even separating DingTalk from Alibaba Cloud. I think they did do that. You guys remind me if they did that or not, but I think just even separating those two and then IPOing or even selling off DingTalk could be another opportunity that they could pursue. And because there's a lot of uncertainty, I haven't really spoken about the model in a long time for Alibaba, but recall Alibaba, you can see that this is the top of the tracker. This is the tracker that you get access to when you join us on the Patreon at that lower level. But Alibaba is the number 2 least expensive security, in my opinion, on the tracker. And so, it has an intrinsic value, in my opinion, of $204 per share. It's trading at $88.71 a share. So you're looking at a share price to intrinsic value of 43%. And so what happens is when you get access to the tracker, if you click right here onto the ticker, it takes you to the goodies. Here's the Alibaba model that I have. And so I actually have not broken up the model from the perspective of these businesses being spin-off and, the new ownerships being shown. And the reason why I haven't done that is because I'm waiting for concrete plans, concrete understanding, and concrete segmentation from Alibaba. And so I'm going to wait and not do any of that until it all comes through. It'll be a lot of work to slice and dice up this model with the new restructuring, but I'm happy to do it. And you guys are, I'm more than happy to share it with you guys. And so right now, everything is consolidated. And you can see overall, I'm not expecting the business to grow significantly, like at a significant pace, right? You can see that for 2024, I'm forecasting 7.5% growth, and at 2028 I'm forecasting 8.2% growth as the economy hopefully comes back to where it should be, and that really reflects growth in the cloud segment to pick up. And so we'll see if that happens. I'm really hoping that it does, now that there's a change of leadership over at the cloud segment. And of course, when it comes to the valuation, here's the valuation here as I'm getting to it, and the company's trading at approximately 11 times free cash flow per share, which reflects a 9% equity yield. So that's not a bad valuation. And what this really reflects is free cash flow per share net of forecasted stock-based compensation, because there's a dilution impact that you have to take into account there. And so I have taken that into account. So if you try to calculate the free cash flow that I calculate in the model, you have to take into account that I'm forecasting what I expect stock-based compensation to be, and I deduct that from the free cash flow calculation, because that is a natural charge that you would take away from the free cash flow. And so if you haven't done so already, I really encourage you to join the Patreon and get access to all of those models at that lower tier. And of course, if you want to join us for an extremely important and informative monthly presentation that I prepare for you guys live, you can join us at that upper tier. And just FYI, for both tiers, guys, I have a 100% money back guarantee, because I'm not in the business of making sales to you guys. Rather, I'm in the business of long-term partnership. And so I want you guys to continue coming back. And so if you decide to join the Patreon and it's not a value for me, just reach out to me and I'll refund all of your money back for that first month. And that's my guarantee and my promise to you guys, because once again, I want you to receive value for your money when you join the Patreon with this team. And so with that, I'll leave it. And if you missed the video that I released just a couple of days ago, or just yesterday actually, on Alibaba CEO leaving, I'll list that video right here.